Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm painting another miniature from Massive Darkness. This is Lilliarch. She's a Gorgon, of course, and she's primed in a retail store white primer. I don't even know the name. I think it's like called Premier or Home Premier or something. I wanted to try these primers to see how they work. It does get sticky a bit, but it dries okay, and the paint goes on nicely afterwards. So first of all, we start off with a D&D's unique paint called Ghostly Vapors, and this is from the Undead paint set. And it's going to cover up her skin. Now on the artwork, she's got more of a blue tint to her skin. And to be honest, when I looked on the bottle, I was sure that the color of the paint in it was like a lighter blue. So my debate was to use Gorgon Hide or this one. And then when I used Gorgon Hide in the past, it looked almost white. Anyways, so I ended up with this one, and I will fix it for later on. You'll see what I'm going to do to it. Now I'm going to move on to some Fog Gray from the Army Painter, and this is going to be for the inside part, scaly part of her snake body. So she's got these scales going all the way to the back and up the sides. So next we're going to be using some Wolf Gray. She's very bluish gray, this character, so it's kind of cool to have all these different grays and blues working together. And this is going to be for the rest of her snake body. This next color I had a lot of trouble with. It just doesn't shake well, no matter how much I put in the paint shaker and how much I shake it and all that. It still comes out like first like a light purple, and then eventually if you keep mixing it, it'll get this reddish brown color. So I want to use this instead of chaotic red, so I use this on the parts of the whatever that is on the front of her snake, and then on her arm braces and some other parts of like her, I guess it's armor. I have no idea what it is even. So alright, now we're going to move on to her hair. We're going to use some dark stone. I was going to use hardened carapace because her hair is very black, but with the wash later on, I like how this turns out actually. It was very hard to get all the hair underneath this miniature because it was very like stuck to the rest of the miniature, so you got to just be careful, take your time with it. Alright, so this is the first time I'm using the shade from Citadel Paints. It's called Dreckenhof Nightshade. Dreckenhof? Something like that. Anyways, I'm using this all over the snake part of the miniature. I was hoping the light color would have came through a little bit more, so I do touch that up with some dry brushing later on. You'll notice that. But it works nice. It's a good shade. It's a good color. I could have used the Army Painter's blue, like, what is it called? Blue tone wash. But I want to try this just to see how it goes. Alright, while that shade dries, we're going to use some Greedy Gold, and we're going to finish off that like armor stuff on her chest plate and around her waist and on the front of the snake. I was also having trouble with this paint actually. I don't know why. It wasn't covering like I wanted it to, so I had to give it a second coat once in a while too. Alright, so here's where I'm going to do some dry brushing on that Fog Gray. I'm just going to go over those scales very lightly, just to make them pop a little bit more and bring out the details again. Now we're going to be using a color metallics called Azure Magic, and this is from the metallics paint set, a specific paint set from the Army Painter that has a whole bunch of colors. And this is going to be for all her wrist wristbands and on all her arms. So pretty simple, nice blue, comes out nice, shines well. I recommend these paints, really cool. And the next metallic color I'm going to use is actually Elven Armor. This is going to be for all the hilts of the swords. Okay, now we're going to finish off those swords with some plate mail metal. This gives it a nice shine to those swords. It's not too bright and it's got a little darkish hue to it as well, so it looks really good on these daggers. Remember when I mentioned I want you to use Gorgon hide on her skin? Well, I'm going to do a dry brush actually on top of that ghostly vapors. So at least it'll give it a little hint of like a shadow effect, a little bit brighter as well, and when the wash goes on it gives it a good highlighting. And speaking of washes, well, we're going to use a shade from Citadel paints, and this is Nuln Oil, the famous Nuln Oil. I'm going to put this on pretty much the entire miniature except for where I used that blue before. Now, if you guys have never heard of Vallejo's Thick Mud, this is amazing stuff that you can use to create mud effects or finish off the bases, and you get this huge container for a great price. It dries pretty fast if you put it in front of a fan. If you don't, you're gonna have to wait a good 24 hours. So I do this on the entirety of the base. It may look like she's in sand, but then I'm gonna put some steppe grass from the Battlefield series of Army Painter and finish off that miniature with that. And then I come back at it because I forgot her eyes, so a little bit of moon dust in her eyes, and there you go. Lilliarch is painted, ready for the table for Massive Darkness. I want to thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.